Working? It is. Hi, everyone. Uh, so, Anthony asked me a question. The title, by the way, of this session is Enabling Hypergrowth in Your Business. And Anthony said, what does that mean? It's really about optimizing your speed to value. And the objective today is really to give you some insights from lessons we've learned with our customers about what you should be doing when you're experiencing hypergrowth in order to keep your costs low for your environment, in order to maintain a lower cost of growth overall, because any of you have had growth in your business, you're spending a lot more money. How do you control that? And fundamentally, how do you scale so that you can drive more revenue? So that's the objective today. My name is Valerie Canafo. I am a sales leader at AWS in the commercial segment, and I'm going to be joined in a few minutes by one of our customers, Shilpa Dabki, who is the Global Vice President of Engineering at Clearwater Analytics. So this is a map of the Alps. It's actually a trail map for the UTMB, which, if you know anything about trail racing, which I know nothing about, is a 100-kilometer race that takes place once a year. It spans 3 countries, and there's 20,000 feet of climb elevation. For context, Mount Everest has 29,000 feet of elevation, and nobody starts at the bottom when they're racing that. One of the team members that I work with was on vacation in France several years ago and stumbled upon this and was fascinated by it and decided that he was going to race. So he had to plan, right? I mean, how do you endeavor to complete a 100-kilometer race? He had to get his wife on board. He had to get his family on board. This is a really huge endeavor that involves big commitment. He got himself a coach. He started training. He changed his diet. He thought about endurance. He thought about nutrition. He thought about all the things that you need to plan logistically as well in terms of completing this race. So that's Jason at about 8 hours in. He did complete this race in 25 hours, 24 minutes. Very happy at the end. I was tracking him through this whole thing, going to sleep at night, waking up the next morning, working, going to sleep at night. Jason was still racing. But what struck me here is that you don't endeavor to do something this big without planning. Without having, your key resources engaged with you. And this is very akin to when your business is growing and the parallels exist. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about this. So what are the themes? AWS is the most fully featured, largest cloud provider. We have 200 services. We run globally. We have millions of customers, some of the largest enterprise and commercial customers that are leveraging AWS to lower their costs, to innovate faster. And I've spoken with a lot of our customers who experience a lot of growth. Whether they are independent of industry, independent of their business problem, independent of their customers, their physical and technical challenges, the same 3 themes are consistent. And so I'm going to share some stories with you, but really give you high level what we've identified as the difference makers when you're growing in order for you to really accomplish what I talked about sooner, which is save costs in your environment. You want that cost of growth to be more controlled, and you want to be able to scale and drive your revenue and take on more customers. So the first thing is engage early. We have a health tech customer that was doing business with us and that found itself doubling its growth every 2 months. They came to us, their environment did not support that kind of growth, and this is a growth that continued for 18 months. They had to make some fundamental changes. They endeavored to migrate their on-prem to AWS. They modernized their environment. They're still in the works of doing that. But when we asked them, what could you have done better? They said, we really wish we had engaged early with our executive team, because I think that's the key point of it, is bringing your entire team together and identifying what are your goals, what is your North Star as a business, and aligning all of the stakeholders to then identify, working backwards, what does your architecture need to look like? What are you doing in terms of products and services? And how does that serve your end goal? And they said to us, had we done this, we would have migrated sooner, we would have modernized sooner, and we would have saved 33% on the cost of our environment. So early executive engagement, that's the start. And that goes directly into the next thing, which is planning, right? You're going to have your executive meeting, identify your goals, and then you're going to set out a plan. And what's critical about the plan is you're inevitably going to have trade-offs. You're inevitably going to have different priorities that you're going to have to manage through. When you set those goals and you plan, you can set aside and clarify what things are going to be most important to you. We have a customer we work with who does something super interesting. They manage privacy on social media and on search outlets. And they had been in business for several years. They were operating B2C, and they made a shift to go B2B. And when they made that shift, their business began to grow at 400%. They found their customers were queuing, and they didn't have the bandwidth, the capacity to bring on their customers. So they, again, needed to make some pretty fundamental differences. Their business had grown up in 2 different environments, didn't support that kind of scale. And in our conversations with them, that prioritization was a big difference maker. While they were onboarding all these customers, before they were able to make their migration, they were losing business. And the trade-offs they were making still were not solving their problems. So their comments to us were the ability to plan the roadmap and to determine what the trade-offs needed to be really enabled us to focus. And they believe they lost millions of dollars in revenue through this process. So again, planning early, plan for success, have that executive alignment and a single vision that you are working towards. The final thing is leveraging AWS resources. A lot of our customers possibly think that engaging us for technical issues is the right way to engage us. And certainly that's what we're there and able to do. But we are a business partner. And that business discussion changes the game. The resources at AWS are vast. The domain expertise, the vertical expertise, the programs, the funding, the resources, are endless. But for you to have access to them, we need to know what your goals are, and we need to understand where you're going to open up those doors. We have a customer called Loyalty Juggernaut that offers platforms for loyalty management systems. They have grown organically over time, and they signed 2 customers at once who were onboarding globally. And their infrastructure just wasn't built to support that. One of the first things we did after meeting their executive team was do a working war. And we sat down with them to really understand, what does your environment look like? What does it need to look like for where you're going? And how do we find you some quick wins so you can onboard these customers that are ready to go? So we were able to find them, a very quick win in terms of having them move their Redshift clusters to something more RA3, something much more, giving them more bandwidth. And And the other thing that was really interesting is they were, so sorry. They were looking for faster throughput, and they had a project that they'd identified would take them several months to put together. And our solution architects, it turned out, had solved that problem already, and were able to give them a plug-and-play solution in a day. And what that afforded them, while they were in the midst of managing all this growth, was a reduction in their cost of growth from 33% to 25%. So the lesson really is engaging early, bringing your executives into the fold, and really planning ahead for what you may or may not know is happening, right? One of the biggest challenges is are all the domains inside your business talking to each other? Are you aware of what sales planning is? And are you taking the time to understand the bigger picture? I want to bring out one of our customers who's going to talk a little bit about their challenges, what they have done in terms of growth, and how we have helped them. So I want to introduce Shilpa Dobke, who is the Vice President of Global Platforms at Clearwater Analytics. Shilpa? Yeah, you can't hear. You can't hear back there.
Hi, everyone. All right, do you want to sit?
Shilpa.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about Clearwater, your customers, your business, just for context?
Sure. So Clearwater is a global fintech company. And the financial services that we provide are basically investment, accounting, and reporting. So there are billions of dollars worth of decisions that people make on a daily basis and completely dependent on the reports that we provide. So talk about, like sense of urgency, sense of timeliness, and sense of responsibility, where accuracy of the data is super important.
When did you know that you were going to experience rapid growth?
So I would say for our company, growth was a planned thing,
Yeah.
right? So it was a strategy that we had to expand our business. And I'm so super excited that our strategy is actually working. So we have grown globally. We have over 1,300 clients. And when I talk about clients, these clients are banks, government, government agencies, insurance companies, asset managers. So these are big businesses who have billions of dollars to invest. So when we are processing, our daily routine is about $6.7 trillion worth of investment data that we process on an absolutely daily basis. So it has to be done on a timely basis and with accuracy. So growth is just part of our strategy. So we just needed to make sure that with our business growth strategy, we needed a platform that grows with it, or in fact, before it.
Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you experienced?
Yeah, so in terms of challenges, the usual challenges of lift and shift, the culture for the people, the executive leadership, the cost, there were like business reasons, all those, when you pass through, the even bigger challenges were, we need to grow in terms of region. So sure, we are big on northern USA side of things, but North America, but we needed to grow in EMEA. So we needed to quickly figure out, what do we do about that? We need to modernize. We need to make sure our applications are multi-region aware. So there were tons of things, but thank God for our account manager from AWS side, Elizabeth Daniels. She quickly pulled the team together, and she had experts in every area that we needed help in. And so, we had literally the moment we talked about, hey, we're concerned about blah, or we need blah, and she would have lined up the right people at the right time with the sense of urgency. So, our problems, usually we get like multiple options in terms of solutions.
I feel like you're glossing over so many of the big things you did as a company because, Shilpa is VP of Platform globally. Every other executive on the staff has been involved in this, and Lift and Shift has been a huge endeavor.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm talking about close to 500 applications.
Yeah.
Each application is, has SLAs and totally client-facing and client-impacting.
How did you prioritize? What was the discussion amongst you?
Yeah.
And how did you sort of shut out the noise in order to drive to something that could allow you to execute?
Oh, that was, I would say planning was super, super important. Right from talking to the executives, getting their buy-ins, to talking to engineers, making sure that they are comfortable with the change that they are going to bring in their own lives and our clients' lives. It was super nerve-wracking for them. So a lot of planning, a lot of cajoling, a lot of culture shifts. I would say, moving to cloud is less of a technology issue and more of a culture and human issue. So I know you would think that, cloud technology, but technology is already solved for you.
Yeah.
But human aspect was the big deal. But I'm super excited because we did complete our migration on time. So super excited about that. We still have a few more projects that are going on, but our lift and shift migration is over.
So you talked about cajoling. How was that alignment? Did you find as an executive team you had a common vision, or was there also collapsing on that one vision? Was that part of it?
It was, so we absolutely had to start with a vision.
Yeah.
We had to start with what are the benefits for the business when we do this, because it's the same applications. What's the big deal? Why are we going to spend so much time? But it was our growth strategy. Without the cloud migration, it wouldn't have been possible to even grow, right, for the business, for our clients, etc. So that vision, the benefits, and sticking to those benefits, meaning sometimes executives will come up with their own stories that, so we're going to get cost benefit, right?
Yeah.
And we would have to remind them that, remember, these are the 6 benefits we are talking about. This is what we are going to get. This is how we got it.
Yeah.
So we had to constantly give them the results matching the vision, every month, let's say, or every few weeks.
Yeah.
So they knew that we are on target.
Yeah.
And we were totally working according to our plan.
That's great. We don't have a lot of time left. What advice would you give to people who are embarking on big changes or large anticipated growth?
I would say the biggest advantage that I had, because I had worked with AWS before, I knew that I wouldn't make a mistake of considering AWS as a vendor and keep them at arm's length. I totally used or leveraged AWS as my extended team. So any concern I had, any doubt I had, I would just talk to my AWS account manager, and every time they came up with solutions. They never, used my doubts, for their benefits, or never ever. And I'm talking about, I've been working with AWS since last 8 years, and I've never felt that way. I always felt that they were my extended team. I could talk to them about anything, and they could solve my problems. They always gave me multiple options, right from training to actual solutions to architecture reviews to cost saving. They gave me so many ideas that, you shouldn't do this. You're spending too much money. You should reduce. And that was just mind-blowing for me. So super cool.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely,
really
anytime.
Appreciate it. Thank you for listening. There's a treasure hunt going on if you want to take a snapshot of this. I think we're giving out some prizes. And I do want to thank you all. If you have any questions for Shilpa or myself, our contact information is here, and we'd welcome you reaching out. Thank you so much.
Cool.